Hello, and welcome to a Purpose-Driven Marriage podcast. We are Duane and Nadine Stewart, and we love any and all things marriage. You've tuned into the right place if you're looking for actionable, practical tips to help you overcome real-life obstacles common to real relationships. We're here to help you strive for a marriage as God has designed it and not as the world has defined it. Because why settle for a good marriage when you can have a great one? Hello, and welcome to a Purpose-Driven Marriage podcast. I am your host, Nadine, and usually I would have my awesome husband here co-hosting with me, but today I get to do this by myself. Duane's actually traveling today, so we thought it'd be a good idea for me to record an episode that is about what women want in a relationship, in a marriage. And so this is a great episode for men. If you're listening in, you're going to want to hear this, right? This is going to give you some insight as to what your wife needs from you. And ladies, if you're listening to this, feel free to share it with your husband. This is the first for me. Duane and I have done every episode together since we started this podcast earlier this year. And so I contemplated whether or not this is something that I could do on my own. I was both excited and terrified at the same time. I'm like, gosh, not have that back and forth. It's just so weird. And instead of staring into the face of my husband, I am looking into, a blank computer screen is basically what it is. And so I'm hoping you guys enjoy this episode though. And we're going to record another one, whether it's the next episode or maybe at some point in the future. I'm not sure yet because it'll depend on what Duane is able to fit into his schedule, but it may end up being what men want, to give us ladies some insight as to just the needs of husbands and what it is that they secretly hang on to inside themselves and maybe, haven't had the opportunity to communicate or really just don't know how to communicate it. Because one thing I've found in my coaching practice is when I have these conversations with men and women, one of the things that we come to the realization of is that it's not for lack of sharing what we need in our relationship, but it's more so the lack of a common language that allows both the husband and the wife to fully understand and comprehend where the other person is coming from. And so when I describe their communication patterns as being something along the lines of, do you ever feel like you're speaking German and your spouse is speaking in Chinese? And you guys are talking and you're trying to express your needs, but no one is understanding the other person. And so as a result, your needs go unmet and you get frustrated. And so many couples, like that is like a light bulb moment that totally resonates with them. So it's not for lack of trying to express our needs, and it's not even for lack of wanting to try to identify the needs of our spouse. It's just that sometimes it is lost in translation. And so we try to do our best. Our intentions are good for the most part. It's rare that I've met anyone in a relationship that had ill will or bad intentions towards their spouse. They really are trying to do their best. But then sometimes we get to the point of feeling like a failure because we think we're trying, we think we're doing, we are explaining our needs in every way possible, even different volumes, different approaches, just different ways, but yet it's just not being met. And so this episode is me speaking on behalf of my ladies, my sisters out there, to explain, to hopefully be able to communicate to the husbands out there and the future husbands what it is that women truly desire in our relationships with our spouse. So we'll get started. So the first thing that women need from their husbands is love and affection. And now I know that this sounds like a no-brainer, right? It sounds like, of course, like we all need love and affection from our partners. However, this is when I was talking about how sometimes messages get lost in translation. The way in which we define love or we receive love may be different, actually is often very different between men and women. For example, A husband could think, you know what? I love my wife. Therefore, I'm going to provide for her. I'm going to go to work every single day and I'm going to bust my butt to make a living so that I could provide her with a good quality life because I love her. And although most women would look at that and say, yes, absolutely, he clearly loves me because he's providing for me. That's not necessarily what it is that I'm referring to here when I talk about how women need love and affection. Women want to know that you cherish us, right? We want to know that essentially, if you could choose a wife 100 different times, that you would choose us every single time, that we are worthy of your love, right? That you adore us, that you think about us when we're not with you, that we are top of mind for you. And being able to communicate that with us is where we feel that affection through the verbal affirmations, the acts of affection, the putting your hand on the small of our back or reaching out and holding our hands, sending us a little text message during the day, just letting us know that you're thinking about us. Those are the types of things that make us feel like you love us and you are feeling affectionate towards us. So the second thing that we women need, and this is actually a really big, is emotional connection with our husbands. When we are emotionally connected, that can significantly enhance the quality of our relationship in so many other areas, including our sexual intimacy. Because for us women, we need to feel emotionally connected. And in order for us to desire the physical connection. That's the case for most women, not all, right? But a lot of women, we need to feel emotionally connected to our husband in order for us to be in the mood to be physically connected. So what does that mean? Not surprisingly, communication actually plays a really big role in our emotional connection with you. We want to feel heard. So in the vast majority of the time, and I'm sure you guys will see this in your own relationships, women have a tendency to bring up conversation topics, right? Whether it's, oh gosh, my day was just crazy today, or honey, I wanted to talk about such and such, or you would not believe what the kids did, or whatever it might be. In the vast majority of the time, women are bringing up conversation topics. And oftentimes, all we really need is to feel like you're hearing us, like you're putting that phone down, you're making eye contact with us, you're showing physical signs that you're actually interested, you're paying attention, you're nodding your head, your body language indicates that you're hearing us, and then you're asking questions, you're empathizing with us, you're saying things like, oh gosh, yeah, that sounds like it was a crazy day, or wow, babe, that's so exciting. And then asking those follow-up questions, how did that make you feel? What did that mean to you? Or was this something that was really important to you? Because it sounds like it was. Like those types of questions will help us feel like you are truly making the effort to understand us and to hear us. When we feel like you're understanding us, that leads to connection, right? For us women, communication often equates to emotional connection. And so when you're taking the time to emotionally connect with us, that leads to an enhancement in so many other areas of our relationship. And you'll find that an emotionally connected woman, or a woman who feels emotionally connected to her husband, is a happy wife. She is a happy woman where she feels significant in your world, in your life, in your brain space. The next one is trust and security. Trust and security. Trust is so critical for us. And trust actually happens to be a huge foundational component of any relationship. Without trust, it's nearly impossible to have a thriving marriage. I would venture to go out and say that it is impossible to have a healthy relationship if trust does not exist within. Trust is so incredibly important. And it's not just in the big stuff, right? It's not necessarily just, hey, I am trusting you to be faithful to me. I am trusting you to be loyal to me. I'm trusting you to never betray me. It's not even just that big stuff, but trust in the little things, right? Doing what you say you're going to do, making it so you mean what you say and you say what you mean. And those little things tell us that if you can show up for the small stuff, you will not have any difficulty showing up for the big stuff. So it means so much to us when our husband is trustworthy and has a character that demonstrates trustworthiness. It is absolutely essential in our relationship because that lends to the next part, which is our sense of security. Like being with someone we can trust makes us feel safe. It makes us feel like we never have to worry about what's next for us. We never have to worry about us not being able to rely on them to do the right thing, that we can speak our minds, that we can share our most vulnerable feelings, our most vulnerable thoughts, and it will be cared for in a really safe way. And so trust and security is absolutely essential to us. Like we need to know that you're there for us, that you will show up not just for the big things, but also the small things, and that we can rely on you. We can rely on you to do the right thing. Feeling emotionally and physically safe with our spouse is so vital. And knowing that we can rely on you and confide in you without judgment, without betrayal, is just so key. The next thing that women need in relationships is appreciation and support. We really, really appreciate it when our spouse acknowledges and values our contributions. Recognizing that we work really hard to try to be the best wife we can be, the best mom we can be, the best friend, and just everything for everybody, which is what, as women, we have a tendency to do. We have a tendency to just wear way too many hats sometimes, but it is the nature of who we are, right? We are nurturers. That's what women are. And oftentimes we would forgo our own needs in order to serve others. And many of us don't do it for the appreciation, but that doesn't mean we don't need the appreciation. Like it would mean the world to us, and it would actually add to that emotional connection that we desire when our partner, when our husband sees all that we do, that sees even the effort that we put into things, whether or not we're perfect at it, whether or not we're great at it, the fact that we show up, the fact that we do things, the fact that we're there, right? We're present, we're doing the best that we can. The impact of that on us would just be absolutely tremendous to know that you see us, that you see our effort and you're appreciating it and you show supportive gestures, right? Like you encourage us in it, you recognize us. That can do wonders for our bond and our connection. And then the next thing that women want in our relationships is a true partnership and shared responsibility. So I'll speak to the first one first. I think it was Dr. Gottman that mentioned it in one of his books. I think it was the 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. And he mentions in there that one of the mistakes that a lot of men make is that they don't accept their wives' influence. And that is a huge mistake, right? Because guys, like looking at this from a biblical perspective, we were created to be your helpmeet, right? If you didn't need help in the first place, there wouldn't be a need for us, right? Not a knock against men. I've got a husband, love him, adore him, think he's the best. But there's a purpose for us, right? We serve a role. We have been gifted with a lot of things that you weren't gifted with. And so to not accept our influence, not recognize us as an equal partner, yes, different roles, but we're gifted in equal ways, maybe differently. But to not accept that is like operating with an arm missing, a leg missing, or whatever. Like you're not operating with everything that you can, you can operate with to optimize the situation. And so when you think that all decisions need to be made by simply just you, or you don't need to heed your partner's advice or her input, you're doing yourself a disservice because we have good ideas. We have good thoughts. And to be viewed as an equal partner, again, with different roles, right? Because I do recognize that there are differences between the roles between husbands and wives, especially as a Christian. But a partnership where it's the two of us side by side working on things together and pursuing things together, making decisions together is so important. And then not just that, but taking it one step further and as partners, sharing in the responsibilities that we have as a couple, whether it is in parenting the kids, whether it's in the discipline side, because a lot of women say, gosh, I end up looking like the bad guy because I am always the one having to reprimand the kids, or I'm the one that has to tell the kids no, and daddy comes home and he's the good. But sharing the responsibilities in that, so you guys are partners there too. Sharing responsibilities around the home as far as like chores and things like that. A lot of women love it when they can count on their partner to contribute to the household duties. So it's not left just for them. And then they're exhausted. And then their husband wonders why they're too tired to be intimate at the end of the night. That's because she woke up at the crack of dawn and maybe went to work, or maybe stayed home taking care of the kids, or maybe a combination of the two, and still had to come home, make dinner, clean up after dinner, and do everything else that women do to be able to maintain the home. But if there's some sort of shared responsibilities, it makes us feel valued. It makes us feel like you recognize the effort that we put in. You recognize the time that it requires. And it's not even about whether or not it's a straight 50-50 split. That's never been what we needed. It's just knowing that you recognize we're doing all these things. And as a result, you're stepping forward and saying, you know what? This is my responsibility too. So I want to make sure that you're not left to do it all on your own, wife. I'm coming in. I'm also going to do this because this wasn't intended just for you to do. This is our responsibility. So we're going to do this together. And guys, I can honestly go on and on talking about all the different things that we women want, because when I was doing research on this, I was like, holy cow, there's a lot of things that we want, right? But I can't possibly in a short amount of time list them all and go over all of them. And so I was thinking, okay, what do we need? What is it that we need? What is super important to us? I'm just thinking about this and I'm like, where do I stop? I think we'll do one more. Oh gosh, I think we'll do two more. So the next one that we women need is open communication from you. So we talked a little bit about a different type of communication earlier, right? Which helps to build the emotional connection. But there's a different type of communication that we need from you, husbands. We need you to be vulnerable enough to confide in us, to be honest with us, and not just with us, but really with yourselves. Because oftentimes, like Duane will be the first to admit this. It's something that he's been working on, and I know that he won't be upset because I'm sharing this, but being vulnerable is really hard for Duane. Like it is so hard. I have to do every technique I know as a marriage coach and as a communicator to try to pull it out of him. And the thing that is so challenging for us is he knows every technique that I'm using. And so it's almost, I don't know, like he's on the defensive mode and I'm in the offensive trying to get him to share his thoughts and share his feelings. We want to know. We want you to feel okay to be vulnerable with us and to be completely open and honest and transparent with us in expressing your thoughts, your feelings, your concerns. Because sometimes, I don't know, ladies, for those of you listening, if this has ever happened to you, but have you ever just looked across the couch or across the table and you look at your husband's face and you know that there are things weighing on him? But you have no idea what it is because it's not like he's come home from work and he says, "Oh, honey, gosh, I just have all these things weighing on me. I can't wait to talk through them with you because I think that this will help me process them." Like that, I can tell you, even in the 30 years that Duane and I have been together, that's never happened. Like it has absolutely never happened in our relationship. I often have to notice it. And then after the kids have gone to bed and he and I are by ourselves and we're having our moment in the evening where we get to sit down and talk, I would then bring it up and I'd say, "Hey, babe, I noticed that things seem heavy for you today. What's going on? Is everything okay at work? Why don't you share with me what's happening, like what you're currently working on?" And so then I get him to talk and he starts sharing and he has absolutely no intentions of being vulnerable, of sharing whatever it is with me. And so I have to help, like just get it out of him. There are some days where it's easier than others, but I can tell you that when it is about something that like that's really deep for Duane, like really personal, when it has something to do with insecurities that he has, for example, it is really challenging to get out of him. And I have to work really hard to help him talk through it and all that. And so, husbands, it would be amazing for you to be willing to be open and honest and transparent with us when you express what's going on. Be willing to be vulnerable with us because you never know. Chances are, just talking to us about it can help to remove that weight that you're carrying. Because the thing is, even if you don't share it with us, we experience it with you. Like we're seeing it. It affects our home life. It affects our relationship. It affects so much. Like we sense it, but not knowing what it is makes it really challenging for us to come alongside you and just work on this together. So I think I've got one left that I'm going to do today, even though I know I'm probably going to get all sorts of emails from people saying, "Oh gosh, we need all these things too." It's all right. You know, there's a lot, like we women, there's a lot of things that we need, but these are the main ones, I believe. And this one, I know Duane will agree with me on because it's something that he and I have talked about a lot. And that is, men, we need you to lead. And now, if you have heard everything else I mentioned on this episode, you will know that our expectation is not for you to know everything and then lead in that way, right? Our expectation is for you to recognize us as your partners, communicate with us, accept our influence, ask us what's going on, be willing to be vulnerable with us, be emotionally connected with us, all those things, right? Be trustworthy and then lead. Take the things that we have discussed as husband and wife, the things where I have had the opportunity to share with you my thoughts, my feelings, the things that are important to me, right? And you take that and make the best decisions for the family. And you are praying about it all, right? Like you are doing this under the control of the Holy Spirit, and then you're putting the best interest of your family ahead of all things. And husbands, when you lead and you're doing so, keeping all the things that we talked about today in mind, you can rest assured that you're going to have her right there standing alongside you as an equal partner, supporting you as you assume your position as the leader of the home and as the leader of the family. So, gentlemen, I hope that this was super helpful for you and has given you some insight. And ladies, I hope that some of this resonated with you and that you would share this episode with your husband if you think that it would help in any way for him to get a better understanding of what your needs are in the relationship. So next time, I'm hoping that my hubby will be here again with me because I have to tell you guys, it is not fun recording this podcast episode all by myself. I'm not used to this. I miss the back and forth with Duane, and I don't know how solo podcasters do it because honestly, like I need people. I need people. It's hard to have a conversation all by myself. I think next time I do this, I may have just faces on my computer monitor so then I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. But anyways, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. And I hope that all this information, especially for you gentlemen out there, will help get you and your spouse one step closer to a purpose-driven marriage. We will see you next time and have an awesome and blessed week. Take care.